lads, welcome back to Who's Got the Ball. Myself and Shane back here once again. A lot of good stuff coming up this week. Shane, what's the crack? How are you?
All good, just still kind of reeling from the Rory finally doing the decent thing and winning his Grand Slam, but I wish he'd have done it earlier than 1:30 in the morning, because I've been catching up on sleep ever since now, but I was delighted for him, to be fair. It's some
Yeah,
achievement.
the achievement is unbelievable. Like you could see the emotion coming out of him when
Oh,
he won. Like
straight
it's
away, yeah.
just, I was on that day, like when I was at the start. Then when he dropped back a little bit, I was like, here we go. Then he
Yeah.
calmed it, and then he there's so many ups and downs. I think only he could put you through that.
Mm.
such a such a way to win it, like, and the amount of years he went between. It's just some sporting achievement. It's crazy.
Unreal. And like some of the shots he hit, like the shot on the 15th around the trees,
Oh my
to
God,
then
yeah.
go and bogey on the 18th. Like I've never seen someone be so up and down in the space of 3 hours.
Yeah,
It was absolute madness what he put us through. But I am delighted, absolutely delighted for him. Over the moon.
yeah. I know we like a good stat. I saw a stat there that was like the approach shots he hit on 15, 16, and 17. Um, Within the distance he got them. I think one was 9 feet, one was 6 feet, and one was 2 feet from the
Yeah,
hole. The odds of from where he was to get it there, if you compare every golfer on tour, how many times it would take them, it's one in like 28,000 times that would
that's
happen. And he did it with the
did it
Grand
three
Slam on the
times.
line, like,
Yeah, that's it's just ridiculous. Yeah, that shot on the
so
13th as well, out from behind the trees.
yeah,
I think it was
yeah.
the 13th, or no, the 13th was when he
No,
went into the
that was when he
water.
went into the water. It was
Yeah,
just,
the 11th I think was when he came out
yeah,
from behind the trees. It was just
so
insanity.
much went
Like,
on. It was madness. But yeah, that's from Augusta over in the US. Let's stay in the
mm,
US now, right? We're gonna go. You love that. You
you
love
love a
that
good
transition,
segue.
don't
You
you?
love a good segue. Unreal.
So, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to our NBA trend. I was would say transition because they got transition on the mind here. Our NBA brackets for the playoffs. So the rest of this episode, and we went through it the usual day. We recorded it on Tuesday. It's ready to go, but we waited until Thursday to get this little bit up. So if there is a bit of discrepancy in some of the things we say later on in this episode,
Yeah,
that's just because
makes
we
sense.
were yeah, we recorded it a couple of days ago. But yeah, we are gonna do our brackets. We wanted to wait till at least the first few games of the play and were done, so we knew the seven seed. So I think maybe we'll start with round one. Do you wanna? I'll throw it to you first, and then I'll do the second game and so on. So who have you got between? Let's go with the Thunder, and they're either going to end up playing the Mavs, or whoever wins that matchup tonight or tomorrow
Like,
night.
I think it's safe enough to say that we probably both have the Thunder and the Cavs getting through whoever they play, because
Yeah,
they're the only games that are still to be determined. I went Thunder and four on that. Like, I not knowing they're playing, I just think they're going to walk all over
yeah,
anyone they play in the first round. Before it will actually get a bit difficult then when they play the other playing playoff teams. But I can't see them having any difficulty in the first round, to be honest.
yeah. I think the it's Mavs or Grizzlies, so and I think yeah, I think they'll win it. I think they'll win it in five. Just see. I think if it's, I don't see the Mavs winning that. I'll be
No.
perfectly honest. I think the Grizzlies will, and I think they might get one at home. But I agree with you that I think it's going to be very close or very easy for the Thunder. And I'll go from just go straight in with the Cavs then as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of why we didn't really care about what happens on Friday
Yeah.
before we predict, because both of us agreed already that the Cavs and Thunder, no matter what. And yeah, I think after seeing what the Heat did to the Bulls, who I honestly thought would win, I think the Heat might beat the Hawks and just get their complementary position in the
Yeah.
playoffs that they always seem to get. But I still think the Cavs will beat them too. Maybe 4-1 as well. And I could see that in five. How many games do you think there?
I put down, I had the Cavs in four as well, 'cause to be honest,
Okay.
like I kind of just, it was kind of the last one they looked at when I was like, oh, the two are just going to walk away with it. I'll just give it
Yeah.
to them in four and get on with it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it did finish 4-1, but there's no way either of those matchups go to five, 6 or 7 games. It's not, sorry, 6 or 7 games, sorry, it could go to five. There's no way it goes any further than five, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. Definitely. I'll go with the two seeds. So in the West, then the Rockets, they're going to face off with the Warriors. Smirk on your face because you support the Rockets and you're not going to like what I have to
I
say,
know.
but that's kind of why I wanted to wait, because if it was the Grizzlies, I would have went with the Rockets here. But since they're facing off the Warriors, I know you did beat them a few weeks ago, but Steph is never going to shoot like that again.
Mm.
And I think you may have given too much away, to be honest, already in that one game as to how you're going to match up against them. And I could just see the Warriors winning this maybe in six, just their know-how and championship nerves. But what do you have here?
I obviously had like I spent the whole day today head v heart, and I was like, "Do you know what? I'm just going to go with heart. Though it's
Yeah,
not going to make much of a difference to at the end of the day if they win or lose." But I couldn't go against them in the first round of playoffs with the way they've kind of played all season. Eamon Thompson, Shingu, and Jalen Green are all on form. They were well, bar with the last games they lost, but sure didn't play half the minutes anyway.
yeah,
But I just went with the Rockets in six. I
yeah,
think having the two home games to start will be massive. If they can win the two of them, or even if they can win one and kind of push the second one close, then I would back them. But like I can see the Warriors getting at least one blowout, and then maybe they could just go on a run from there, and they could win two or
yeah,
three in a row if they look. Because the Rockets are a young team. I know they have a couple of like old heads, but if the Rockets got blown out by 40 points, the way the Lakers did to them recently, I could see the heads dropping and Udoka having a bit of a time trying to pull them back. But
yeah.
I couldn't take them out in the first round. I had to
No,
I had to push them through. To be fair,
especially when they're two seed. And I do think they have physicality on their side
yeah.
with that like two big system. The Warriors have nobody
Mm,
to really go against that. And then I think it's a dangerous game. A lot of people have been saying, like, in the West, they would want the Rockets in the first round, but it's always the team that you think you want that come out and surprise you.
exactly, hundred
Um,
percent. Yeah.
but let's move on then to the East. I'll let you go ahead. Celtics and Magic. What have you got
I
there?
that was the easiest one for me to pick, to be honest. I think the Celtics are going to have a walk in the park there. It's going to be a lovely little kind of warm up for them going through into the next round. I have them down in five.
Yeah,
I think they might drop one if they're like 3-0 up, and they might do a bit of resting and stuff, or do something like that because they'll know that they're just going to walk all over this Magic team. That was
yeah.
the easiest one for me. I can't see the Magic having any answer from.
I think yeah, it's an easy one for the Celtics, and it literally is a bit of a warm up more than anything. I think Yeah, I think 4 or 5 games. I'll go with
Max
five as
again.
well
Yeah,
because I just think that Paulo and Franz could have one like really, really good game where you get like good defenses across the board as well. But like, I can't see the Magic scoring over 100 points in any of
no,
these games because they stutter on offense a lot. So yeah, I think Celtics without a doubt. Then I'll go with my 3-6 matchup in the West. So that's Lakers Timberwolves. Um, I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves here. So I'm going. I know the Lakers did turn things around a bit this season, although they were good before they got Luka, but they turned around what I think maybe was expected. And people thought they wouldn't be as good when he came, they'd be poor defensively, but that wasn't the case. But the Timberwolves are very, very physical, and I think Anthony Edwards is just on a tear at the moment. I really think that they won't want to go out first round here against the Lakers, and they'll love being the underdogs in this. So I'm going with the Timberwolves to get through.
I went the same.
Nice.
Again, the same kind of reasons. Anthony Edwards is just going to have a stroll in the park. Well, not a stroll in the park, but he's going to have a really, really good time, I think. As you were saying there about the physicality, like the Lakers haven't really faced someone like him too often, so we don't really know what they're going to be like against it. But there's a reason everyone said they were going to be poor defensively when Luka came in. And I
Yeah.
think Luke and Braun, despite the fact they can score a million points, I think the Timberwolves are just going to outscore them. I went Timberwolves in six. I,
Mm.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
I
I
think
didn't say
it's
my number of games, but I'm going six as well.
I think if there's any early games, I don't actually know if there is because I know all the Rockets games are ridiculous hours, but
Mm.
I think this is the kind of one to watch.
Yeah.
This the one this will be the biggest battle, I think.
Yeah. No, I think yeah, it'll be a real highlight in the first round. I think
Yeah,
all across the West in the first round, apart from the Thunder, that'll be a blowout. But the others
yeah,
are just crazy good
cracking
matchups.
games. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just like the Timberwolves to come out just with the defense in general, what they did last year in the playoffs to the Nuggets. And I thought they were really excellent there. So I think they can do the same. I don't think, yeah, I think if Luca is gonna get isolated against Anthony Edwards too much, they're in trouble there on
mm,
defense.
100%.
But what have you got then for Knicks Pistons in the East for the 3-6 matchup?
This had to be the Knicks for me. There's there's no kind of there's no massive statistics to back this one up. It was just a feeling from the start I had. I think the Knicks are going to be in six or seven. Like I could see this one going the whole way. I think they're very evenly matched, but I
Hmm.
think that the Knicks have so much momentum on their side at the moment, the way they're playing. And I think the Pistons, they have been excellent, but I think I don't think they're ready for a
It's
playoff
a
kind
step
of
too far, I
proper
think.
run. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so I think the Knicks will get in 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think seven as well. I think the Pistons are going to be really, really good. That this is another one I think people should watch
Yeah,
because this is going to be incredible basketball. So physical, so tough. There's definitely going to be plenty of fights because the Pistons
yeah.
love a fight. And last year, my favorite, obviously, I know the Sixers lost, so it wasn't great as a viewer. But my favorite in terms of the battles of the first round was Knicks and Sixers. They
Yeah,
fought tooth and nail, and I think that took way too much out of the Knicks going forward. And I think it'll be the same again.
yeah,
I just think the Pistons jumped from like the worst team in the league last year to now like a sixth seed in the East and performing very well. So I think it is a big jump, and I think next year they'll focus in again. But I think they will take the Knicks to seven. Then the last first round matchup in the West is the Nuggets and Clippers.
hmm.
Again, I'm going for an underdog here, so I'm going for the underdog in three of them. I'm going with the Clippers here.
Oh, sorry. I thought the Nuggets were. I thought you were going to say the Nuggets were the underdog, but
No, the Nuggets were the four seed, so and I think
there
they're
we go.
the bookies' favorites for this one as well. So I just think the Clippers have been really, really good this year,
Mm,
and their defense has been unbelievable. And not to say that he's like going to stop Jokic, but Ivica Zubac, who's probably should get most improved player because of how good he's been this year. I think statistically in the league, he's been the best defender on Jokic across this season. So they have that going in their favor. They've got Chris Dunn. They've got a really, really good defense in general. And then I think Kawhi is just coming back into his own,
mm,
and he really will once we get to playoffs. I
yeah,
know it's Jokic on the other side, so it's hard to discount that. But what the Nuggets have been doing all season is falling short.
yeah,
And I think the Clippers have ramped up really nicely. I honestly think we could see them win this in five.
yeah. I also have to know. I have the Clippers against the Nuggets. Well, the 2 points I wrote down was it's the form they're on is 9-1 versus 5-5 in the last 10.
Yeah,
The Nuggets have looked aimless over the last couple of weeks. I know they've lost the coach, and
yeah,
I just think the Clippers are going to exploit them.
yeah.
There's only so much Jokic can do on his own. I
But
know
that's
he's
a
putting
great
up
point as
triple
well that the
numbers.
coach is gone. Like you have
Yeah,
compare on the other side, like Ty Lue is an excellent coach,
yeah,
and he's
exactly.
settled
Yeah,
in there. Like
yeah. I can't see the Nuggets putting up too much of a fight here. To be perfectly honest, I think they'll go out with their tails between their legs a bit. I think the Clippers will. Yeah, they're going to have a good time. I don't even think it'll be worth watching most of the games, unless it is close coming down the line. Like if it's 3-1 or 3-2, then start watching it
yeah,
then. But I think from the start, the Clippers are just going to they'll have it all their own way. I feel pretty
yeah. I
comfortable.
think in general, I think the consensus in the US is probably to go for the Nuggets, but I think we're both like very high on the Clippers,
Yeah,
and I think I think I have to agree with you. I think they will. I just think the way things have gone this season for the Nuggets, and Ty Lue is a great playoff coach, and
yeah,
Kawhi knows how to do it in the playoffs. There is question marks around James Harden, but I think he knows his role in this team. And so I think, yeah, I'm going to go on the same as you there. And then what have you got for Pacers and Bucks in the 4-5 matchup in the East?
the Bucks in 6.
Okay.
They're both on an 8-2 run, which actually surprised me when I looked up. I didn't realize the Pacers were still in that kind of form.
Yeah.
But I think the momentum the Bucks have at the moment, they're 8 wins in a row, ending the season.
Yeah.
Giannis is starting to look like Giannis again. I think it'll be very, very close, but I think the Bucks, I think they have if they're 3-2 up, I think they have a home game, and I think they win the first home game, and they'll win it out 4-2 in 6.
Okay. I'm going the opposite here. I'm going the
Ooh.
Pacers. I just think that they have too much depth for the Bucks. Doc Rivers doesn't like to go too deep with his rotation. Damian Lillard is obviously a big miss. Now there's
Mm,
reports today that
he could be back.
he's cleared, but it'll take him a few days to ramp up. So that's
Yeah,
definitely not until game three, I would say, and it could be 2-0 by then. I just really like the way that the Pacers play, and I don't see what the Bucks can do to stop the way that they play, how fast they are. Giannis will probably be the best player in this series, but it's similar to the Nuggets Clippers for me. I think they've got the best player on one side, but a better overall team on the other.
yeah,
So I'm
fair
going
enough.
with the Pacers. I'm going to go with six here. So we're the same in the conference semis in the West. We both got Thunder versus Clippers. So we'll start with that.
Yeah.
What have you got there?
I have the Thunder. I think the Thunder are just too strong.
Yeah,
They're clearly the best team in basketball. and it's like they've proven it over the whole season. They lost a couple of silly games and they always bounced back, went on 10, 11 game winning run. I have them to beat the Clippers in five.
Yeah,
I think the Clippers are really good. We've just lauded them there for the last minute or so, but I think the Thunder are just they're waiting for this opportunity. They've been waiting a
yeah,
long time for this opportunity. I think the Thunder will get over the line against Clippers in five.
yeah. I'm going with the Thunder as well here. I think they'll get it in five as well. I just think that the Clippers will put a lot into the first round. They'll have it all their own way, but
Mm.
they'll find it very difficult then against the Thunder, who can do so many different things. They can go small, they can go double big, they can like basically do whatever they want with how many good players they have. And
Yeah,
I think the Clippers are just an older team, and they'll find it hard to deal with that. Then on the other side, one other game we both have the same is Knicks Celtics, so let's do that next. I've got the Celtics winning this. I think they'll win it in five. I don't see them having too much trouble dispatching with the Knicks. The Knicks just can't play defense, and the Celtics are just going to drain threes on them. I don't have too much to say on this. I think it'll be pretty handy for the Celtics.
yeah. I have the Celtics to sweep them.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, I can't see the Knicks laying a glove on the Celtics the way they shoot trees, the way they get to the line. I just, well,
Yeah, Mitch
they're like,
McKilbridge is
yeah.
just he just decided not to play defense again recently. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's
just
just
kind of
yeah,
funny how he gets away with it for the money he's
yeah.
earning, but
It's
yeah,
crazy. Yeah, I think Knicks fans will be disappointed. Then the games we're a bit different in. So you've got the Cavs versus the Bucks in the
yeah.
East in the other conference. So who have you gone with in that one?
The Cavs in six.
Okay.
I think the Bucks, I was just lauding them, but I think they don't have it in them to get to a conference final this year.
Hmm.
Um, I think the Cavs have. I think the Cavs are really, really good, and I think they'll just have enough to get over the line. So Cavs in six.
Yeah, I've gone with the Cavs over the Pacers then in this one.
Mm.
I'm going with six as well. I think the Pacers have enough to play good team basketball, enough to get a couple of wins, but I think the Cavs have done so well this season. They'll have an easy first round.
Yeah,
And I think they'll turn it on when they need to. So I'm going there too. So, but on the East, we've both gone with
the
Celtics and
Cavs.
Cavs to reach
Yeah.
the final. But let's round up the West then. So you've got Rockets versus Timberwolves. So who have you got coming out here?
I'm sure you're going to be shocked at who I have coming out. I actually have the Timberwolves to come out of
Oh,
it against the Rockets. Same kind of reason as the reason to get this far, to be honest. I think Anthony Edwards is just going to start shooting lights out. I think he's going to have fun. I think Eamon Thompson can do so much, but it's the Rockets' first go at this.
hmm,
I can't see him putting up enough points four
yeah,
times in six games or seven games to just win enough. The Rockets had a poor end to season. I know there was no one playing, but there again it kind of showed the lack of depth. That
yeah,
when you go past the first five or six, like if Fred VanVleet gets a knock again, or if Dylan Brooks decides he wants to get ejected again, you're bringing
yeah,
in someone like Cam Whitmore, or Reed Shepherd, and they won't have the ability to just put it up to Timberwolves. So I have the Wolves in six. Obviously, I really hope I'm wrong,
yeah,
but unfortunately, I think next year is the year for the Rockets to have a good push if they can bring in another big name.
yeah. I think it's probably fair. I'd probably go with the same if I had that matchup. I just think the Timberwolves will have a bit more know-how at this stage,
Yeah,
but I do think that would be a really interesting matchup because they're good, evenly matched teams in their starting fives, I think.
yeah.
But the depth wins it out there for the Wolves. But I've got Warriors and Timberwolves in my semi. I'm going with the Warriors here. I just think they have more know-how than the Timberwolves do. They got there last year to this stage, and they were beaten out by the Mavs. I think, yeah, I think that the Warriors just know what they're doing. In once it gets to this level, that Draymond will do crafty things. Steph will take over games in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. But now you've got Jimmy Butler, an absolute dog out there fighting with you as well. I think it's just an added extra. But I think this will go to 7 games, and I think it'll
Oh,
take a whole lot out of the Warriors.
yeah.
So that's my pick. So
Just a word on that. So like Jimmy Butler plays 82 games a year that he hates just to get to this point in the season. Like he genuinely thinks the regular season is a waste of time.
yeah,
So this is when he'll just turn it up now, turn it on, and just if Steph is shooting 30, he's getting 20. And if you have 50 points off two players, you're halfway towards kind of the target you need to get over a good few games. So
yeah,
yeah, I go with what you're going again. Kind of, I would have the if I had that matchup, I'd have the Warriors beating the Wolves. And it's the same kind of reason I have the Wolves beating the Rockets as well. It's the know-how.
Yeah,
It's no one else to do it when you're there. So yeah,
yeah,
I agree
no,
with you.
that's fair. So in terms of the Celtics and Cavs, then I'm going to go ahead first. That's the East Conference Finals we've both predicted. I think the Celtics are going to do it.
Yeah.
I just think that they'll have quite an easy run against the Magic and the Knicks. I think the Cavs, they'll have an easy first round, I think, but I think the Pacers will be tough, and I just think it'll be a very big step for them to get this far. And I think the Celtics just really know how to do it from last year, and I picked them to get this far at the start of the season. I'm going to stick with what I thought. I think they're ramping up so nicely,
Mm,
and they just have so many different options. I think the Cavs can't keep up with them if it comes to 3-point shooting contest in
yeah.
a conference finals, and that's what the
Yeah.
Celtics will try to make it if they can. And so I'm going with the Celtics in six.
The same kind of, I'm not even going to go too much further into it. I have the Celtics in seven. I think the Cavs will only get so far, and I think this is their limit. Again, kind of, if they play the Bucks or they play the Pistons, I think they're going to have an awful time. It's not going
Yeah,
to be easy either game. They're going to go 6 or 7 the whole way. Going to take it out of them. They're going to get bullied a bit in a couple of games there as well by both teams. And as you said, the Celtics, if it comes down to 3-point contests, just forget about it.
yeah, yeah. So that's our East. We've both got the Celtics winning the East. Then in the West, I've got the Thunder versus the
Yeah,
Warriors. You've got the Thunder versus the
the Wolves.
Timberwolves.
Yeah,
So who are you going with?
the Thunder in a five. I
Okay,
think this is when they're going to this is when they're going to come into their own. The pressure will be on, and they'll either make or break. They'll either win in five or lose in five. I think it's only going to go one or two ways. They either show up in every game they're playing, or they don't show up at all. And
yeah.
I think they'll have an easy enough walk into the finals.
Yeah, I think I've gone and backed the Warriors like in outside of this when I said the odds were good. I put a
Yeah,
few quid on them like as an each way chance to get to the finals. Yeah, I think the Warriors are gonna let me down once it gets this far. I think it's gonna be 4 wins straight for the Thunder. I think they're
yeah.
just gonna win it in four. I honestly think that the Warriors will be just beaten up after the Timberwolves series, and I just think the Thunder are gonna really show everyone when they start questioning them. They're coming up against a dynasty. They're coming up against a four-time champ. Everyone will be thinking, can they do it? And I really think they're just going to blow it up and show everyone what they're made of, and win this in four. So we've both got Thunder and Celtics in the finals. I'll give you the honors of going first.
I'm going the Celtics to repeat.
Okay.
I again, we've said it over the whole way down. It's like the way they've ramped up to get to this far has just been it's been impeccable. They haven't had to win their division. There's no need for them to win it. They've kind of just ticked along nicely, won the games they needed to win, lost games so they were giving players rest. And after winning it last year, I think they're just going to come out on top in the finals again. I think honestly, I'd love to see the Thunder win it, and I think it will go 7. But I think if I worked it out again, I think Game 7 would be in the Thunder's place, and
Hmm.
I think the pressure of a Game 7 at home might be a bit too much for them, and the
So
Celtics
you
get
have
over the
them
line
losing in
at
game
at
seven
home.
at home.
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh, that'll be a tough one. Yeah, I think it's going to go seven as well, but I'm going to go with the Thunder.
the Thunder.
I'm just going to stick with what I've gone with from the start of the year. I don't want to sway from it. I think it served me well, like what I thought from the start, how well each of these two teams have played, and I'm going to stick with the Thunder winning it out. I just think it's their time, and I just the way things haven't been repeated in recent years. I think the Cavs is going to be very tough for the Celtics. They never really had a tough matchup all the way across last year. I think that will be tough, and I think that will kind of lead them into this Thunder matchup a little bit worse off than they were going into their finals matchup last year against this time a much better team who can do so many different things. As I already mentioned, if you have a team that can go too big, they can go all small, they can mix it up, they can play a guy who can also play shooting guard in Jalen Williams at the center if they want to. Like, it's just crazy how many different things they can do. So that's the reason I'm going with them. So I'm going to go with the Thunder in seven. But yeah, we both ended up with the same
Same
conference
finals.
winners and the
Yeah.
same finals. We just differed by one game in the
Yeah,
end.
the thing for me is that I didn't nail my colors to the mast at the start of the year
Mm,
because obviously we didn't know this podcast was going to be a thing at the start of the year as well at the same time. So I never kind of nailed my colors to the mast. And just the way, just kind of watching the Celtics just tick along, and
Yeah,
the fact they won it last year, I can just see him kind of just having again. It's about know-how, really, isn't it? It's about knowing how to win playoff games.
yeah,
It's why the Warriors will probably get so far before they fall. It's why the Wolves beat the Rockets. It's just kind of been there, done that, bought the picture. Let's get a second one. It's just kind of just
yeah,
teams who've done it before just know how to do it again. And I don't know. I
yeah,
think it's going to be a hell of a finals if it is the Thunder and
yeah.
the Celtics.
I agree, definitely. That would be an unbelievable finals, and every game would be just so much going on down to the
Yeah,
wire, just crazy stuff. And I think, yeah, knowing how to do it plays an absolutely massive part. I know it's funny we're saying that after teams haven't repeated for a long time, but it's not like those teams who like haven't repeated just fell off then after. They've
yeah,
still been good. And then in terms of the Warriors, like they did it just not so long before they did it again. And the Celtics have got so close so many times. So you do know how to up to a certain point, and a lot of those teams that we've picked along the way do know how.
yeah.
So yeah, that's it, lads. We both did our brackets on ESPN. We're going to make a group, and I'm going to share the link on our Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. So you can join it if you want to put in your predictions and see how you get on against us. But yeah, let's get into what we have from the other day. Let's jump straight into that record. So moving into our NFL portion, we're just going to do something a bit different because this is our last episode before the draft actually happens. So it'll be on next Thursday when you're listening to this. So obviously we're very excited for that. We had a bit of a preview last week, but we're going to do a mock draft. But the way we're going to do it is as if we're like drafting teams each. So we can't just go like 1 through 10 each. So I have the first pick, third pick, fifth, eighth, and 10th. And the funny order is because I'm taking the Giants and Shane is going to obviously take the Jets, who he supports. So we mix it up a little bit that way. So Shane will have 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9. So I might as well jump straight into it. I'll go with the first pick. So obviously it's the Tennessee Titans. I'm gonna play it the way that everybody has it here. I'm not gonna mess around. I'm just gonna go. They're gonna go Cam Ward. We talked a lot about him last week as to why they picked him, why they will pick him. It seems like that's just nailed on to happen. Similar to last year, Caleb Williams was kind of nailed on.
Mm.
This seems to be absolutely nailed on. I think that it's pretty much set in stone for me. Really, the draft starts with pick 2 this year, and what will happen there because I think there's still a little bit up in the air. But one I think is nailed on to be Cam Ward, and they'll get their QB for the future. The Titans will. So that's my pick.
I think the draft will start at pick three actually because I think pick two is going to go the same way as I'm going as well. There's no way that they can leave Travis Hunter on the board if he's there at two. He's the
Yeah,
best player in the draft class. He can play really good at wide receiver, really good at corner. If they skip him for anyone, even Abdul Carter, I think they're making a mistake. So I'm just going to go with Travis Hunter in as the second pick. As I said, I just think they have to do it. I really do. I think they're stupid if they don't.
yeah, yeah. No, I think that would be um, the best thing that the Browns could do in that situation. So picking Travis Hunter there, I think, yeah, you got your dual threat. I think I would love them to fall to the Giants. I don't see it happening, but it's just the Browns. They're so untrustworthy. You never actually know what they're going to do. And the Giants are the exact same. So in this mock draft, I'm going to do what I think would be the absolutely clear, logical thing to do, and that would be pick Abdul Carter, number
Okay.
3 for the Giants. I think there's some options in the Giants kind of line of thinking that I would hope that if they did get a call here, they might trade back because if you can get a nice haul for somebody who really wants Abdul Carter, we're kind of stacked in that position. But obviously you want to add a talent like this. But if they could get a really nice haul for him and fill a lot of other positions of need, then I would say, yeah, do that. But I think in this case, he's the best guy on the board. If there's no decent trade opportunities, they have to pick him. Adding that to the already very good Russian talent that the Giants have on defense in Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously Dexter Lawrence through the middle. Yeah, I think it just makes the most sense. So I'm going to take him off the board here at 3.
Yeah, I think that, as you said, it does make the most sense for him because, again, you can't leave a player with his talent on the board. Even if you are stacked in that position, Joe, he's coming in as a young player. If you give him a year or two even to settle in before he has to really make that big, massive step up. He could be a game changer for you in 2 or 3 years when you do have your when you finally get a franchise quarterback. He could be the one that will make a difference for you then. But
Yeah,
I do think that's a good pick. For me at four, I have the Patriots, and a lot of the talk has been about Will Campbell, but I'm not taking Will Campbell there because Will Campbell might go elsewhere in the draft. So I'm going to they're taking Mason Graham, the tackle out of Michigan. I think he's the best tackle on the board again.
yeah.
Do you know what the Patriots could always use help everywhere to be honest. So they could definitely use help on their line. So they've definitely taken Mason Graham and not Will Campbell for ulterior reasons.
All right. Okay. So Shane, I think you might want me to pick Will Campbell here, do you?
It wouldn't dare.
Um, okay. So you've gone Mason Graham. I think yeah, that's probably the best player that's still available.
Hmm.
I think apart from Ashton Genty, but I think running back to go that high is very, very tough. So I think Mason Graham is the logical thing, and I completely see Vrabel doing this for his new look Patriots team. So yeah, I think that that would be very realistic. I'm going to do something here a bit funny. I'm going to say there's a call coming in from Jerry Jones. He's panicking. The old man is shaking in his boots. He thinks the Raiders are going to pick his man at six. He wants him. He wants him at five. He's calling up the Jags. He's giving them all sorts. He's giving them pick number 12. He's offering them his second round pick and his third round pick. The Jags are laughing because they don't mind moving back to 12. This is a pretty good draft class in DT cornerback. We've got a couple of wide receivers that will be still there at 12, which is probably what the Jags might look at if they want to go that way that early. So they'll say no bother, we'll take that call. We've got the Cowboys and Jerry Jones trading up to five. Jerry Jones is putting that cowboy hat on and he's picking Ashton Genty. He's coming to the Cowboys. He's going to be their new running back, and this is the most Cowboys thing ever. Let's see this for a bit of excitement on draft day. So I've got Genty going to the Cowboys at number five with a trade with the Jags.
The reason I'm laughing at that is because I also had the Jaguars trading away their pick, but I had them trading it with the Saints. I had the Saints going up, giving two first rounds and their ninth pick of this draft to get Ashton Genty as well. Because another thing would be so Saints to just do something absolutely
Mm,
off the wall, ridiculous to trade up and get someone that they'll probably get at nine anyway.
yeah,
But
yeah, no,
yeah,
that makes sense.
that's why I was laughing so much. It's like he's stolen my idea, but we both had the same idea. And I
Bit of a
think I'm
spanner
up.
in the works there.
Yeah, I'm up again anyway at six again with the Raiders, and
Yeah.
they're taking Sanders. I don't want to butcher his
Oh,
name like I did SGA last week. So
so
Shador,
we've got
and
Shador.
yeah, so we're going Shador. I think he's the future of the team from. I think he'll take a year or two to redshirt, for want of a better way of putting it, where he'll just play backup and then he'll just step in and he'll be the
Okay,
future of that franchise then.
I like that one. I think that's a bit high for the talent level, but I think it makes sense right now for them if they believe in him and to go there because they have Gino there. As you said, he can kind of back up
Mm.
and learn from him. And you've got Pete Carroll there right now, a steady offense coordinator, and Chip Kelly, who we talked about recently. Yeah, to be honest, of all the situations, I would have said last year if the Raiders had picked him or before they got in Carroll and Geno Smith, I would have said this is complete implosion of the franchise. But now with that in place, I don't hate it, and I think
Yeah,
yeah, it
and
makes sense.
yeah, I think Pete Carroll and Geno Smith are both kind of on two-ish year deals as well. I'm not 100% sure. I should have
Yeah, I think
checked it before we
Geno's
came
on
on,
two
but
and Carroll is on a three. So
yeah, so like if he goes after 2 years, gives Shador 1 year under Pete Carroll before they bring in a new head coach because Carroll can't go on forever either.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
reckon he is literally doing 3 years and he's done then. So yeah, I think that would be a good pick for him. I don't think they're struggling many places either. Obviously they would love an Ashton Genty as well, but they don't overly need him at the moment. So I think
Mm.
taking Sanders there is a bit sensible for him.
Yeah, makes sense. No, I think there's also that quarterback tax where they go higher than they should when teams get
Yeah,
a little bit desperate.
100%. Mm.
So yeah, no, nice. So you're up again now because you've got
Yeah,
the
I
Jets.
have the mighty Jets. The Jets are going to be sensible this time around. You might think I'm saying Will Campbell here, but I'm actually not. I was just trying to fool you into not taking him later on.
Oh. I was going to put Will
So
Campbell down already. I was already writing it.
the Jets are taking Armand Membo, the offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Again, the Jets are a team that they really, really struggle with the O-line.
Okay.
Um, so why not bring in a bit of help? We have a new quarterback in there. There's talk that they're going to go to a running back committee. So that will be Allen and Brees Lightning
Yeah.
will be kind of a two-headed together. So
Okay. Nice.
they're going to need help both sides. They
Similar
don't
to the
need,
Lions idea, where you got
yeah,
your linesman there now coaching you.
yeah,
So.
exactly. So I think bringing in a bit of offensive tackle help, well, it can't go wrong. Like, and you have Justin Fields can run then as well to create a couple of holes for him. We'll see how it goes.
Hmm. No, that makes a bit of an interesting one. Like to get him in there, and Will Campbell obviously then slipping, because I think people would expect Campbell to go a little bit earlier. I think that, like, in terms of talent, there might not be much of a difference between these two guys. I think they're both highly, highly rated. So yeah, I like it. Why not go for something a bit off the beaten path in terms of what the draft boards are maybe projecting? And I think that's a solid pick because as you said, I think you've alluded a couple of times, the Jets during your whole time of supporting them have never had a
Never
solid
had an O-line.
offensive tackle really or O
No.
line that was, stable. So nice. I'm up then with the Panthers. So looking at some of the guys that are still on the board here, the Panthers need a lot of things. If you're looking at, I think if you're looking at the Athletic, there's the beast that comes out every year with like every profile in it, of all the players that comes out the year like a few weeks before the draft, and it comes out with like who's number 1 to 100 and what the biggest team needs are. And I think that they highlighted a couple of needs for the Panthers. I considered that when I looked at what they might do here. I considered going wide receiver and getting McMillan off the board, but I
Oh,
do think that the Panthers may look to keep going defense. They've gone defense heavy in free agency. It's a bit of a reach for McMillan. So I'm going to stick to kind of the consensus level of talent and go with Jalon Walker here. And so probably the second best edge rusher in the draft, probably a top five, top 10 talent in this draft. So they do need help on the edge ever since they got rid of Brian Burns, sending him over to the Giants. So I think, yeah, getting a nice young guy in there to spearhead the defense for years going forward, after some of the other additions they've made. So yeah, that's my pick for the Panthers. They're going edge here at number 8.
cool. So obviously the Saints are no longer at number 9 because in my world they traded up and took Ashton Genty.
Oh,
But in
okay.
your world, which is the one that matters, Ashton Genty is now a Cowboy. So
Yeah, so
Ashton
you're at
Genty
9 with.
is I'm at 9 with the Jags. And the
Okay.
Jags finally Will Campbell has found a home. He was sweating. He was like, "How have I dropped this far? Am I not going to be a top 10 pick?" The Jags give him a call and say, "We knew you were going to get you at 9. We traded back, still got you. The best defensive tackle, probably the best defensive tackle in the draft, more than likely." The Jags, again, another team that need serious help in defense or sorry, with their offensive line because they are just, they crumble. They crumble so often. It's hard to watch the way they crumble at times. And he'll surely come in and he'll be straight into starting role and he'll give him a good bit of help there and we can just see where the future holds for him.
Yeah, I think that's probably the pick that would happen if the Jags did manage to trade back. I think
Mm,
that would be a sensible thing for them to do too if they manage to get someone either Membu or Campbell if they manage to trade back. If they
either
were
or.
there, it would be quite a sensible thing for the Jags to do, to be honest, because they have so many needs. Like, and that's just one of them that they could fill. Then obviously I've got the Bears at 10 to finish up, so they kind of need a couple of positions as well. Like I thought they could do with a running back if Genty somehow fell. That didn't happen. And they could do with edge rushers, a defensive tackle, maybe a linebacker. It's pretty nice what's left here. Let's have a look.
Mm,
Hmm. I'm not gonna go edge. I could go edge rusher here. There's some good talent left at edge rusher. I'm also not going to go Tyler Warren. I'm not going to pick the tight end. I'm going to go with something a bit different. Somebody that the Saints fans wanted. Somebody that Conan has messaged me and said he hopes the Saints pick him at 9. It's Jihad Campbell. So I'm going to go with them going linebacker here, at 10th overall. getting in a guy to work with their defense. It is a position of need for them. Their defense was a strong point a couple of years ago, took a back step last year, and I think maybe going for Campbell might add something a little bit different as well. Have a young talent there on defense, and they can look to fill in the offense later on in the draft with some of the positions that they need. But in terms of offense, I think they've got some talent there already.
Yeah,
It's going to be year two for Caleb. They've added in the O line, and now you've got your new head coach in there, and Ben Johnson. So let's see what he can do before we start thinking there's too many gaps that we have to fill. Let's see what he can do with what's there.
I really
So
thought you would take Tyler Warren there now. 6 foot
really,
six tight end that
mm,
kind of Joe he hit like Cam Ward, sorry, not Cam Ward, Caleb Williams really hasn't had too many kind of big targets to aim at. I know
yeah,
they have some good wide receivers there, but if they had a tight end his size, I think they would be absolutely laughing. I'd love for the Jets to take him up at 7. I really would. It won't happen. Obviously, they're not going to go offense in the first round. But
yeah,
I've never seen us have a tight end that I can remember that is kind of reliable, consistent, like a Travis Kelce, like a Brock Bowers. We've never had one.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love to see us add a tight end that wasn't like Ruckert or the other dopes we had last year. Can't even
Conklin,
remember doing like yeah, Conklin. Like I'd love to see us have someone that is actually like a wide receiver coming from the tight end position. And
yeah,
Tyler Warren seems to be the one that's most likely to be that this year.
yeah.
So
I,
it'll
I
be
think
interesting to see where he ends up.
it's hard to like pick a. It's the same with running back. I think with Genty and when it was with Saquon, it's like generational Bijan
Mm,
Robinson, generational talents that you can't pass up on. But it is hard to stomach picking a tight end or a running back so highly. Like I know Brock Bowers was so good at the Raiders last year, but he doesn't make that impact that will win you like 15 games. That's
no,
too much, even 10 games. Like whereas if you get really get it really right with a good defensive player or a good tackle, and
it
that's the
makes
thing you
such a
needed to fill
difference.
in, it just makes such a difference. So that's why I went linebacker there. He's a little bit down in terms of the rankings. I'd say people have him maybe top 12, top 15, but I thought we'll throw something in there. So that's our top 10. We've got Cam Ward going one, Travis Hunter going two to the Browns, Giants picking Abdul Carter, the Patriots going with Mason Graham, Cowboys trading in for the Jags pick to get Ashton Genty. We've got the Raiders trading, or they're not trading, they've got Shador Sanders at 6. The Jets, number 7, getting Membu for an offensive tackle. Panthers going with, um, who did I say for
Jalen
the
Walker.
Panthers?
Jalen Walker.
Jalen, oh yeah, 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 Walker from the edge for an edge talent. Number 9 with the Jags was when Will Campbell, so that was in a
Mhm.
world where the Jags traded into ninth, and then the Bears picking up last and going for Jihad Campbell. So we got two Campbells going 9 and 10. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of the top talents. Got a little couple of trades in there, so that's our top 10. Let's see how close we get when the actual draft happens. We'll be keeping a close eye, but as just a bit of an interesting one before the draft, and obviously next week we'll have the draft happening on Thursday, and we'll be discussing it the following week because it'll be late on Thursday night. So
With the way
yeah,
our luck goes, when we talk about people, you might as well just flip the draft upside down. And
yeah,
G.I. Campbell will go first, and Cam Ward will go 10th,
yeah.
more than
I
likely,
know.
with the way our luck
Honest to God,
goes.
that a few players we've talked about in recent weeks have just had shocking games, or teams have just gone on a bad run. Like since we spoke about Atletico, how many competitions they're gonna win,
Yeah,
they've just gone off a cliff edge. Like so,
falling out of everything.
it's awful stuff. But anyway, let's move on to Gan Seans. So another zero for you this week, was it? Yeah,
Don't want to
that's what,
talk
like
about this.
3 in a row.
Yeah. No,
That's
3 and 4 weeks. Because
yeah.
I got a 5 pointer to keep me going.
I know it's sick. Then you had that one 5 pointer, but I only had 1 point myself.
God.
It was in the Pacers beat the Cavs in overtime, so I went with the double Cavs losses. Almost came off because the Knicks were dominating them and they were playing well like up until halftime. I watched the first half and then I went to bed. It was on pretty late, and
Yeah.
then I woke up and the Cavs made like a 15 or something point comeback in the fourth quarter, even without Donovan Mitchell. So pretty sure Mobley wasn't playing either. or he wasn't playing his best if he was. And so yeah, that was quite annoying to be honest. But anyway, we've got this week coming up. Do you want to go ahead and give us what you have for the weekend?
Yeah, so the first one I've picked, I've gone two football and one basketball again because I think the playoffs and the play-in are just they're quite difficult to call. Obviously, the teams are fairly matched in the play-ins because they've all finished in the same place basically. So it was hard to pick. So I've just gone for two football. The first one I've gone with Everton to beat City at Goodison Park. I know City had a great comeback last week against Palace, who we both had picked to beat them, and
Mm,
absolutely smashed them in the end. But they still don't convince me. I'm not convinced by them. I think they're just kind of waiting for the end of the season and see what happens now. When I saw it, Everton were 13-5 and City were evens, so I think that gets me away with the favourites. So I just think Everton at Goodison Park it can make a difference for them. They've held Arsenal there. They've held Liverpool. They didn't beat Liverpool. They had Liverpool, held Arsenal, beat United, or drew with
yeah.
United as well. They keep getting draws at home. Surely they'll finally win one and get me back on track.
Hmm.
I've gone for sorry now. Wolves at 11-4 to beat United at 19-20.
I honestly
So
consider that myself.
it'll be off the back of the second leg against Leon, which is going to be a slog. Watching it the weekend, you're not a football team, you're just a group of lads that went out on a Saturday night and went out on the Sunday morning to play a bit of Sunday League. Absolute shambles at the weekend. And I just think Wolves are absolutely flying at the moment. They're
Mm,
unbeaten in their last five, four wins and a draw, which has come out of nowhere. So I can see them just keeping that run of form going.
fair enough.
And finally, I have the Clippers to beat the Nuggets in the playoff
Mm,
game one.
yeah,
The Clippers are 11-10, the Nuggets are 4-6. I know the Nuggets have kind of picked up a bit of form since losing the manager. They've won their last three, but I
mm.
think the Clippers are on an eight-game winning run or something like that.
Yeah, I
So
think 8 game winning, 9 wins in their last 10 or something like that.
yeah, yeah, I think they're 9-1. So yeah, I've gone for them to already beat the Nuggets.
Yeah. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I'll say it again. We're either both going to have a good week or both going to have a bad week because I've also gone for Everton to beat City. The odds I had at the time were Everton 14-5 and City were 9-10 on. That was yesterday. So I think for similar reasons to you, I went against City last week, and
Mm,
I honestly don't mind going against them again because they're so unpredictable. I think if we didn't get one last week, we might get one on them this week. And
agreed.
Everton are just eking out wins at this stage. They did so against Forest, and I think they might be able to do it again. But I think, as you mentioned, a draw might be more likely. But I like the chances of a sneak win here. I've also gone with the Clippers to beat the Nuggets, like you have. And just think that the run that the Clippers have been on has been unbelievable. And whether they'll, what comes of them and ultimately in the playoffs, I do think that they're going to come out firing this first game, really wanting it.
Mm,
And I think the Nuggets aren't going to really know what's hit them. I think coming off that win against the Warriors as well, and just to end out the season and get the seeding, I think that was really important, and it was a big mental win for them on the last day of the season. So, gone with the Clippers, same as you. Nice time as well if you want to watch it, lads. 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, so a nice time, Irish time, finally for a game. I like the
yeah.
playoffs because at least we get a couple on the weekends that are a decent time. And then my last one is another NBA. I've gone with the Timberwolves to beat the Lakers.
Oh,
So yeah, the reason I've gone with this is I like the way the Timberwolves have been playing recently. I think if you look at like the plus minus of teams across the season in the West, I'm pretty sure the Timberwolves are like third or fourth in the entire West after some of the guys closer to the top of the board. I think the Lakers were maybe third, so they're pretty evenly matched in my eyes. I think Anthony Edwards is having such a good season. Now I
pass.
know we've got Doncic and LeBron on the other side, but I do think the physicality of the Timberwolves will shock the Lakers at the start. Gobert kind of clogging up the paint a bit. I don't know, will this again, as I mentioned for the last pick, will this have a long term effect on the entire series? But I do see them taking game one there. So we got the Timberwolves at 33-20, and the Lakers at 1-2. So I fancied that one.
33
So
to
yeah,
20 is huge odds for them.
yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Mm.
Might might have to look at maybe a double with them and the Clippers on the Saturday night because that's at 1:30 a.m. on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's all we've got for that. Do you want to jump into football? What we go with first?
We'll go with the main man himself first and move on to the sad portion then.
Okay, so I had the player this week. The main man that he is speaking about, I'm sure you can guess, is Mo Salah. I picked to talk about him because I wanted to talk about the contract. I think it's a big story, one that's been brewing for quite a while. And I mentioned earlier in the season that it's probably something we'd speak about in the summer, himself and Van Dijk, but now it's come early, a little bit early for Salah. So it's a 2 year extension. I'm pretty sure he's on the same money. What is it?
380 grand a week it's gone up to.
So, oh, it's gone up, so that's
Yeah.
absolutely outrageous. It was 350 grand. He
Yeah.
was the most paid player in Liverpool history, so now he's bumped that up again. So 2 year extension for the main man. Obviously, he now has the record for the most goals and assists combined in a 38 game Prem season with 6 games left. He might be hunting down the
50.
overall record. Let's see what happens throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, he's absolutely flying. And across the whole season, he's 46 games, 55 goal involvements across all competitions. Just absolutely unbelievable. It makes so much sense to keep him there, I think. See what happens now with Van Dijk, but I think this was a big one. To get it done early was obviously great. So, what's your opinion on this as a Liverpool fan?
He's loved my life. We'll start with that. Like, I'll just put it out there. I absolutely adore the man so much. I think the fact he's gotten a pay bump is a bit strange. I think
Yeah, I thought
keeping him at
so.
350 for 2 years. Now it's only 30k as a bump, but
Hmm.
it's still kind of like if that was what the haggling point was from August till now, it was like I want 380, you're getting 350. I think they should have settled a long, long time ago instead of had this hanging over the fans and the club for the last 6 or 8 months, however long it's been. But
Mm.
I think you couldn't let him go this summer with the way he's playing. I think
Not
you had
after
to
that
give
season.
no, absolutely not. I think you had to give him the 380 or whatever you wanted. 2 year deal. I think you're safe enough for 2 years. I think the problem now is you have to start future planning straight away.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to bring in his and you need to bring in Van Dijk's, not replacement, but the next kind of the next one, the next cab off the rank needs to come in now. So if they do fall off after 6 months, you have someone there that can just kind of step in and take over. I think it's safe to say that Van Dijk is sorted as well. I think we can talk about him in the same kind of light as well. I think that's done too. I think
Okay.
it's a massive summer coming, but I think if they'd let Salah go this season, Anfield might have been burnt to the ground. Dan Henry's baseball stadium might have been burnt to the ground. I'd say there'd have been riots if they let him go this season. So I think they just had to give him what eventually just kind of cave and give him what he wants. Give him
Yeah,
what he wants, even sorry.
makes sense to pay him when he's after having that season. I would say, like, say if he had like a season like last year where what he had obviously a great season. I think what was 38 goal involvements
Yeah,
across the season. Like, but this is like he's almost got 38 goals in this
yeah,
season. So yeah, I think you cannot like in the Premier League. This is the most difficult league to perform at that level. You can't turn your nose up at that because where are you going to get that production? You're not going to get
exactly.
it from anybody else. So as you said, future planning is the most important thing right now to get in an understudy. You've got him for 2 more years, so you can still get a guy in that's relatively young, early 20s, even late teens if you have to, and that can bed in over time. There's no real rush because I kind of feel like you know now that he's going to be there for the next 2 years and he'll see that out and then he'll get
Mm,
his big payday wherever he goes after that.
100%, yeah.
I think that was probably a thing as well that I'm not so sure about the bump. I thought it was the same pay. To hear that it's 380 is crazy. Like I think for somebody who's aging, it's such a high amount to pay them. But again, he had such a good season. I think it's not too much to bite the bullet for 2 years. I think if it was a longer extension, it wouldn't have made much sense. But the 2 years kind of okay, that's stomachable. I think he has this level
Yeah.
of production at least for another year and a half in him. So yeah, I think it's really important for you to look to the summer now. And what's the buzz around Van Dijk at the moment?
Van Dijk said in an interview with Off the Sport, so your man asked him, like, when will your week be? When will your extension be? And Van Dijk said, I don't know, but I know, but I don't
Okay,
know. And then just smiled and walked away. So I reckon there'll be announcement on him someday this week as well. But that's just kind of reading a lot into one facial expression that Virgil van Dijk made and probably his 50th interview an
Yeah.
hour after the match as well. So he might have just been sick of the question too. But like he's done, like he is done. Everyone is saying he's done. It's all over Twitter. David
Mm.
Ornstein has said he's done. That spoof for Fabrizio Romano has said it's done as well. Sometimes he gets
Yeah.
it right, sometimes he gets it wrong. But
If it's Ornstein, it's pretty much
yeah, exactly.
a lock in.
Like the thing for me is, like what you were saying there about getting the replacement in. As long as you can bring someone in, like a kind of top half, maybe 23. Sorry, would be the
Hmm.
top level. Then he's 25 when Van Dijk goes. Then you have 7 years of him. Then if he's good enough to
Yeah.
kind of step in and be Van Dijk's, sorry, Salah's replacement. Then like, and the same with at the back as well. Bring
Yeah.
in someone who's between like 19 and 22 that learns off Van Dijk and then can step in and just kind of
Yeah.
just take over the reins seamlessly as well. But I think that's the big thing now for the summer is not replacing them, but future replacing them.
Yeah, I think even, and if you could get someone who could almost play with, I think in the case of Salah, it's okay to get a backup, but it would
Mm,
be ideal if you could get another centre back who could play alongside Van Dijk and then almost be the leader then after. Huysen obviously springs to mind. If you were willing to splash the cash on him, it makes sense. So let's see how the two lads end the season, but obviously, yeah, it's great for you. Obviously, you would think as a fan of Man United, I'm not going to want to see them stay there. But I actually like the fact that you've held on to the talent and not moved them on because I think you've built a nice team, and I like seeing things continue the same way and not just blowing things up. I like that in all sports. To be honest, I hate when
yeah,
teams just absolutely implode things and then think they're going to get better results. The
like
continuity
Chelsea.
works. Yeah, so it makes so much sense.
Mm.
And yeah, that's pretty much all I have on that. If you want to bring us into the opposite end of the spectrum here.
Oh, this team. I've been saying it now for about 8 months. Southampton is who we're going to talk about. They're the worst Premier League team of all time. They are the worst. They're worse than that Derby team. They really are. They might
Oh,
break the points total because they only need 2 more points, so they might get it.
yeah,
But they are a shambles. Start to finish. They're on their third manager of the season. I don't even know who's in there now, to be honest. I didn't think
I
he's
don't know who
some
came in.
caretaker fella.
Yeah,
I'll look it up in a second. In their incredibly in their 34 league games, they have 2 wins. Of course, Everton I think was one of them, which is always hilarious. But they've
Simon
conceded.
Rusk, whoever that is.
He sounds like a child's biscuit. Like just get a grip. Like it's just
Oh
utterly
Lord,
ridiculous. Like they just haven't had a structure all season from
yeah,
minute one. Russell Martin was trying to get like Vincent Company, where he was like, "Oh, I'll do this for a year. We'll go down. We'll be fine. I'll get a big job." Got
not gonna
sacked.
happen. But yeah,
Your man Europe came in, and I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said if you put a lineup with him in front of you, 9 out of 10 people wouldn't have been able to pick him out of the lineup because
no.
he didn't say a word. No one heard an interview of him. No one actually saw him do anything.
And he was supposed to be this mad fella coming over
Yeah,
to like instill like a bit of strictness and make the team mentally stronger. That's what I was hearing in Match of the Day the
yeah,
first week. I didn't see a
and
bit
it's
of that. Like,
just useless. I was looking up their mistakes leading to goals.
mhm.
Tyler Howard-Bellis has 3. Jan
Lovely.
Bednarik and Flynn Downs have 3 each. Alex McCarthy has 3. I think he played 2 games. And Joe, they just
Do you
from
watch that
s-
game that he played in?
it was yeah. One of them was Liverpool. And I can't remember, but the
Yeah.
other one was
Oh
Newcastle, I
my
think.
God, it's so bad.
Oh,
It
it
was
was
just
just
like
so
he'd
funny.
thrown the ball to the wrong team. Like,
Yeah, like
oh
they've no
my.
one there that is going like is guaranteed a Premier League move. Maybe
Hmm.
Tyler Dibling because he's young. Your man
Hmm.
Mateus Fernandez looks like a good player, but
I like
again,
Sulemana as well, but
to the
he's
man, yeah, they're
very,
probably the 3.
yeah, he's rough. He needs like he's unpolished, definitely, but I think he has a bit of talent.
Yeah, maybe. But other than that, like they've just when they play a back five, they can see 5 goals. They play a back four, they can see 7 goals. Aaron
Yeah,
Ramsdale should just stay in the championship. He's coming into his fourth relegation as a
yeah,
professional footballer. He's
I know,
26 years old.
I know. I
Like
saw a
he's
thing today on
just
Twitter that obviously it was from the Daily Mail, so it was pure nonsense. But someone was
nonsense. Yeah,
just quoting it to make a joke. But they said like, "Oh, Ramsdale," the Daily Mail said Rams United were looking at Ramsdale, and then
yeah.
someone was like, "Oh yeah, that's a great deal. So we'll finally be able to get from 14th to 20th." So
He's like I don't even know if he's a bad goalkeeper, but if a goalkeeper comes out and tells you that he can't concentrate for 90 minutes, rides
He's
with the
looking at
fandom
birds.
and play the seagulls. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
how do you think you're going to be an England international goalkeeper?
short sleeves as well. Like that.
Oh, and the gloves,
Can't be
short
having that.
sleeves and
Like,
gloves. Yeah, it can't be on. They're just, I just can't believe like 2 wins, 4 draws, 26 losses.
ugh. And the
They
two
scored,
wins, 2-1
yeah,
against Ipswich, and then the 1-0
beat
against
Everton.
Everton when Everton were thinking at that time.
Yeah. Like yeah, they've scored less goals than games they've won. They've scored 23 goals. They've lost 26 games. They
Crazy
conceded
stuff. Like,
77 goals. How are you conceding 77 goals in 32 games? It's about 2.5 goals a game. Like it's just incredible how bad
they're
they've
going to
been.
concede more than that Derby team because they had 89 conceded
Yeah,
by the end. In 6 games, they're conceding at least two a game.
yeah, they are conceding 2 a game. Yeah,
So they're going to overtake that. And to be honest, Leicester are going to come close to that as well. But at least they
yeah.
got a few wins. Like,
But what
oh
did
my god,
Sheffield United concede last year? Sheffield United conceded over 100 last year, I think, or
I
close enough
don't
to anyway.
remember.
I'm glad we weren't doing this podcast last year because the abuse I'd have given that Sheffield United team would have just
I
been.
know
We probably wouldn't have been able to put it on YouTube. But this Southampton team are just they are actually
104.
embarrassing. Yeah, this Southampton
It's
team
just
are
crazy.
embarrassing. Like they're so embarrassing to watch.
Yeah. To be honest,
This
I wouldn't be surprised at all if they didn't get that extra point to even equal the Derby record,
me as
let
well. I
alone
hope
the
they
extra
don't at this
two.
stage.
Because they've just been so bad. What do you think about next season for them?
I see. The thing is that so many teams that are that bad go down. Look what Burnley have done this year. They went down. They've only conceded like 13 goals,
Yeah.
and they're coming straight back up more than likely. Like I could see Southampton doing that, but I could also very easily see them doing what Luton did and falling down. Like Luton are probably going to get relegated. I think they're still within touching distance, but
Yeah, it's not
probably
looking
need
good.
to win. They need to win all their games. I think with
Yeah.
the way this Southampton season has gone, they might literally need to tear up everything. Like Ramsey will have to go, Howard Bellis will have to go, Bednarak will have to go. Like these are all lads who will want to be in the Premier League, and obviously they're not good enough. But like Leeds go and pick up Ramsdale because Melier is rubbish.
Mm,
There's something like that. So Howard Bellis might get a move because Roy Keane is his
Roy Keane.
father-in-law. I just
He was playing. He played it in the England game when they played Ireland
yeah,
last
he
year.
scored.
How did he get into that England team?
I know.
Doesn't make sense. But I think, like you said, they need to blow it up. But honestly, I think the opposite might work because
No,
that's why
I sorry, I didn't mean they need to blow it up. I sorry, I meant to say I think it might blow up
oh,
because
they
there's a lot
might
of
blow it
players
up. Yeah, yeah, makes
who
sense.
will want to get out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
I think the best way for them to come back up would be to keep it together because
Mm,
that's how Burnley kind of came back up. They had the majority of the same team. I think it works when you're useless that
yeah,
you get to keep the team together because Luton were actually very close to staying up last year,
yeah,
and then some of their players left, and now they just look horrible, and it's not the same team at all. Whereas Burnley were very, very bad last year, and then now they have mostly the same team, which is very good in the Championship, but wasn't good enough in the Premier League. And
yeah.
now I feel like if they come up next year, they'll have more of a chance. So could see Southampton going down that route if they keep the same players because they're definitely a Championship level team. But yeah, I'd like to see Dibbling stay up. He's definitely one that I think is a Premier League talent in
Yeah,
years to come. But
100%.
but yeah, I think outside of that, the rest were kind of clutching at straws to pick out talent there.
Like I hate saying it, but even like Ryan Manning has been their kind of in and out left back, and
Mm,
he
just
was very
awful
good. He's been good for Ireland at times,
at
but
times.
he has had a stinker of a season there for
He's not a
Southampton.
good defender though.
No,
He is a good like crosser of the ball. He's a good passer, but he has no spatial awareness at times, and
and it's the
it's
same, but
hard to watch.
with Will Smallbone.
Yeah,
Depending he gave away against Liverpool, is just so brain dead. Just sticking your leg
yeah.
in the box where you don't need to do it.
He does the
Like,
silliest things, man, and
yeah,
He's good around the box, but then he has no final product, and
mm,
he's not good getting back at times. I think for him, it's been fairly tough with injuries during his career. I do
yeah,
think he has more talent than he shows, but yeah, I agree. Doing silly things and not really helping the look for the Irish lads in the league, especially with Ipswich got so many Irish lads in, and it looks like they're heading
going
back
down as
down
well.
as well. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's just hopefully some of them make the move back up again. But yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, that's from one extreme to another. Best player in the Premier
mm,
League that we've seen in a long time to the worst team we've
the
probably
worst
seen in
team
a long
we've
time.
ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for them. If you don't have anything else, we'll move on to the
No,
power
I
rankings.
just wanted to get that off my chest. Happy to move on now to something proper and fun.
Yeah. So power rankings, last one of the regular NBA season. So next week we'll be going off the playoffs. Again, we kind of have had playoff teams in the whole time, so
Yeah,
it doesn't make a whole bunch of difference. But I'll go with mine first. I'll go tell you what I had last week. I had Thunder, Newcastle, Rockets, Celtics, Palace, and the Pacers. So this time around, I've kept the Thunder there. I think yeah they had a bad end to the season, not a bad end to the season, but not as like as
you
high
weren't as
flying.
clinical. Yeah.
Yeah, in the last like 10 games, but still they
Mm.
were unbelievable. It's just we had such high standards. But 68 wins, I think they join only like seven other teams that have ever done that. So
Yeah, mad.
certainly they have to stay top at least going into the playoffs. And now let's see what happens when the real action happens. I've kept Newcastle in second because they absolutely battered Man United. They were really, really good. I think, as you kind of mentioned earlier, just to touch on a little bit. Actually, let me throw this at the end for some other business. Talk about how bad that United team was. But
Fair enough.
Newcastle's going to stay second. We've got Celtics in third. I moved them up because I think they kind of cruised into those 61 wins that they had. They looked so good, and down the stretch they were excellent. So they're up there. I've moved in a new team from the Premier League. I've put in Arsenal just because of that win against Real Madrid. I think
Yeah, fair.
they weren't unbelievable at the weekend, but they rested players. They've kind of given up on the Premier League, but they've also like not lost a game. I think in their last like five or six in that competition, and then they battered PSV in the Champions League before, and now they beat Real Madrid 3-0 like
Yeah.
last week. So I think they deserve to go in at that point. I've got the Clippers in again. I had them in a couple of weeks in, but they're back in again now. Unreal win versus the Warriors, 8 wins in a row, 9-1 in their last 10, as we all mentioned earlier. So they are in fifth. The Rockets are still in there as my final team. I dropped them down because they did lose 3 games. I know they rested players in some of those
Yeah.
games, but other teams didn't lose their last three. So I think it would have been unfair to completely drop them. But I think, yeah, I think sixth place was fair just to keep them going into the playoffs. So that's my full six.
So I'll give you mine from last week before I give you this week as well. So I had the Rockets at one, the Thunder at two, Palace were in at three, Liverpool four, the Celtics at five, and Forest were at six. I've actually only noticed then was looking at it, I've actually gone for a 4-2 NBA split again. I don't know how that happened because I was really trying to keep it 3-3. So obviously there's just not enough Premier League teams impressing me. I
Yeah,
haven't changed my top two. So it's still the Rockets and the Thunder. So a bit like what you said, I know they both kind of fell off towards the end of the season, but that was more to do with resting players, and they didn't have full
yeah,
teams out there getting absolutely walloped around the place. So
yeah.
Rockets finishing with 52 wins, as you said, the Thunder got 68. I'm just going to keep the Rockets there because I'm in love with them, and then the Thunder are still the best team in basketball. So my top two stay the same.
Nice.
I've moved Liverpool back up to three, so they've sneakily now got 5 wins and six, despite not being very good. They are still going to win the league, hopefully. I know they are kind of limping over the line, but at least they are going to get over that line. So it was hard, kind of. I said last week I might drop them out if they were bad again, but that last night of winner was such a relief and joyful experience that I just kind of kept them there and moved them up. I put the Bucks in at four, so they're new. I think it's their first time been in for me. They've
Yeah,
8 wins in a row, and
they were
it's
on the
come out
cusp
of
for me. They've been
yeah.
really good.
It's come out of absolutely nowhere because they looked dead and buried there a couple of weeks back, and now they've 8 in a row. I think they lost two and then won eight, so they're 8-2 in their last 10. They
Yeah.
found form at a really good time. I
Some
don't
of the
think they're
teams they
going
beat
to
as well were very
yeah,
good.
I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but I just think their run of form at the moment is just incredible. They deserve a mention.
Yeah,
At five, I also have the Clippers.
nice.
For obvious reasons, we both backed them and Gan Chance. They're 8 wins
Yeah,
in a row, as you said, 9-1 in their last 10 is unreal an unreal way to finish the season. Going in at that, and they're another team who are in really good form coming into the playoffs. And at six is another team I've picked in Gan Chance. Wolves are so hot right now. Um, they're
oh,
unbeaten in five in the league. They're after beating Spurs. I know it's four howlers from Spurs, but the run they're on with from where they were, they've two like their centre midfield could be starting for Brazil in a Cup of America at any point. Like so, and they're the 16th best team in the league. It just It's
Yeah,
kind of goes to show one, the strength of the Premier League, the kind of the pull of the Premier League, but also like how are players that good playing that far down the league? Like how is Paqueta
yeah,
at West Ham
yeah.
and
I
they're
know.
17th? Well, I know where Paqueta's there. How is Kudos at West Ham
Yeah, yeah,
and they're down in 17? Like so, I just think Wolves deserved a bit of a mention finally. They're probably hotter than the rest of the league, to be fair, with 4 wins and five as well. So why not?
yeah.
Why
No,
not?
I like it. I still gonna have to call you out on the Newcastle slander, considering how good they've been. You've just been not mentioned them once since the cup win. You dropped them out as quickly as possible after that. But anyway, we'll let it slide. Your feelings are hurt after that Liverpool loss.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's a good point about Wolves, and that kind of brings us nicely into what I wanted to just say there. Like they're playing United next.
Yeah.
That game at the weekend, we've been talking about United like improving over the last month or so, and they have been. They have been better incrementally each game. And then this week they just took a complete step back. Honestly, it's every time Lindelof plays, there's just absolute commotion. Like
Mm,
he cannot guide the team correctly from that position. And then to add to that, we had Ericsson sitting deep next to Ugarte, an absolute disaster. He basically picked the same style of team as we played against Newcastle before when they battered us. That
yeah.
time it was Casemiro and Ericsson and Xerxes up top. But this time, to be honest, Xerxes was probably our best player until he got injured. And that's heartbreaking too, because now you're stuck with Hoyland till the end of the season, who honestly cannot hit a barn door. He's been absolutely woeful. But I think that game was just really hard to watch. And even Bruno had a bad game, which is the first
Mm,
time he's had one probably since Christmas. So, yeah, I think we'll just chalk it down to one that we'll move on from. If we get the win against Leon, I'll forget about it and we'll move on. But if we don't get through against Leon, honestly, Wolves will beat us because the rest of the lads won't care for the rest of the season. That'll be it.
yeah. I think that the big issue as well was your man Alte coming in. Big kind of fan for everyone was delighted with it. And then he goes and
He was
does what he
tragic.
does for the Bruno's goal.
Yeah.
You had I don't really want to dwell on it too much about the Thierry Henry having a goal in New York because I don't think what he said was very fair.
No, it wasn't.
If you, but I still think, Joe, as you said, it's Lindelof is back there, and it's
Yeah,
just everyone around him is in panic mode because
yeah.
nobody knows like what's he going to do next. Is he?
Mazraoui made a bags of that as well.
Yeah. Oh, did they like? I know they all did, but I think to blame it on the kid in the back, it was
Yeah, and
quite
to be
unfair.
honest, he's
But
probably been our best player defensively over the last month when he's
yeah.
been fit. He was been very very good. So I didn't like that at all.
I'm glad you brought up Xerxes because that flick, sure, the little interchange with
Yeah,
Bruno in the first half.
had been some
Oh, that was
goal.
just absolutely his little kind of his pirouette. And if he put that in, then I'm on my knees, like, because I
Yeah,
thought that was unbelievable. But after that, I thought you had nothing going forward. I know you scored after that. Garnacho, nice finish. Nick Pope maybe could do a bit better. It seems to be a kind of a weak shot right into the corner. But after
mm,
that, you were just abysmal.
awful.
You really were abysmal. I
Yeah,
was kind of flicking over between that and the Formula One, so I didn't give it full attention for the first half. But what I
yeah.
did see, like even when it went in at 1-1, I was like, there's no way United are getting something out of this game.
Hmm.
Like there's absolutely
Aimless.
no chance they're coming out in the second half and getting anything. Like they just weren't
Yeah,
at the races.
they needed to make subs at halftime because it was
Mm,
clear that Lindelof wasn't up to it. It was clear that Ugarte and Ericsson weren't up to it. One of them needed to go. And it just didn't make sense after Kobe Manu came on during the week. I would have thought this game is one that he could have started, got 60 minutes under his belt. We've
mm,
missed him so much. And when he came on against Leon, he was such a calming presence. And then he was excellent that game against Newcastle when he came on as well that last time. You know, he was the only player who looked positive the first time they beat us. And then he doesn't go to him again. Maybe it's because he's just back from injury, but it didn't make sense to me.
yeah,
There was some players there that I just thought doesn't make sense the squad selection. But yeah, with Yaro, I don't want to dwell on that because I think he's been so good this season, and now
yeah,
obviously one bad game, and like Henri has a go at him, and then all the media jumps on that and thinks that
of
that's
course.
factual, and there's no other opinion to it.
I
But
think
yeah,
that another annoying thing. Oh, I can't believe. Sorry, I don't know where it came annoying from. I actually can't believe how bad Jakarta has been this year. Because
mm,
I was saying to Chops when he signed, I was like, "That's actually an unbelievable signing." I thought it was a brilliant, brilliant bit of business.
yeah,
He's so slow. It's any wonder PSG didn't want him with the way they're playing football now. They were
yeah.
so happy to get rid of him to get
He
more
couldn't
pace
play
into
the
the
way
middle of the
Enrique
park.
wanted him,
No,
so
I can't believe how bad he's been this year.
mhm. There's times
I
I've seen him and I thought God, he looks good in that like first hour of that game. Or
Yeah,
he was so bad for the first half, but then he did really well for the goal.
he doesn't
And
have 90 minutes in him.
I'm like, okay, he has flashes. Let's see if he can do it consistently. But he really hasn't. And I think a couple of injuries and the long trip in international duty didn't help either when he came back.
Yeah,
I think I think I'll be. I think I said to you before. I can see him being a backup there for a few years, but outside of that, he's not been up to the level I expected.
yeah. There was kind of something I wanted to mention when we were talking about Liverpool to sit my mind, but the amount of Premier League teams this summer who have big summers ahead of them might be one of the biggest summer transfer windows ever because Arsenal
Yeah,
clearly needs a lot of business. City obviously need a lot of business. United,
Newcastle are a massive one.
United need a lot of business. Newcastle, Liverpool. If Forest get Champions League football, they're going to have some kind of they
Yeah,
need a couple of players in there as well.
Villa.
Villa, yeah, there's so many teams there that are going to have to spend a bone to 200 million.
Yeah,
Like you could see £1 billion being spent on from the top six alone, and then you have the teams coming up always spend money.
yeah,
Teams are in the middle that would be like, oh, we can do what Forest did, or we can do what Bournemouth did this
yeah.
year. So there's gonna be money flying. I don't know how David Ornstein's going to sleep this summer because I reckon it's just going to be flying all around him. He won't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, we'll have to get the notifications on, and we'll have
Yeah,
our roundups every week because I think in the summer Ireland haven't even got any World Cup qualification games. It's
no.
just friendlies, so we'll be on top of the transfers every week,
We'll,
amongst other
we'll,
things. But
yeah, we'll have to do a second show, a transfer special, every Friday morning.
yeah, that's it. So big summer ahead. You've heard it here first, lads. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
that is a good point. There's so many teams. I haven't even thought about that, to be honest. But that make me excited now for the transfer window too.
yeah.
But that's pretty much all I have this week. Got the United stuff off my chest and covered everything else. But unless you have anything else, I'll throw it to you to wrap it up.
No, all good to go. Just if people just keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep leaving comments, do whatever you want. Slag it away if you want, because there's like it's a saying of no news is good news. Well, more comments is good news. So the more we get, just fire them on there, just laugh at us all you want. But
Yeah,
we really do appreciate the support so far.
yeah,
It has honestly been incredible. Just hearing like we saw there is people in Sweden are watching us somehow. I don't know how these things happen, but we
yeah.
really do appreciate all the support we're getting, and we will definitely be back next week, and we'll see you then. James, say your
Yeah,
goodbyes.
nice one, lads. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week.